called the Ark of the what? Covenant, right? What is covenant? Promise, right? Promise is what God promised them if they would keep to his laws and commandments. Yeah? So that covenant has been there all the time. It was actually, the promise was there even at the time of creation, in the 3 blessings that God gave humankind, yeah? With an implicit, direction that we should follow the principle, right, which we didn't do. But the covenant's been there, and God is, as long as we could keep that covenant, then God will work with us and guide us, and teach us and protect us. So it's not different from then, as today, as it was then. It's the same. It's the same thing. So we're very, very privileged to be able to be part of the people of the covenant, of this incredible line through history. Yeah, and Father explained that there is also something that we need to use to keep our promise with God in this time. And, some of you might have been there where I talked about this, but this is what Father said. Just like the Israelites who had to carry the Ark of the Covenant in their 40-year wilderness course, the Unification Church members are now entering the heavenly kingdom carrying the family pledge. And again, we must have an absolute covenant. That absolute covenant or constitutional law is the family pledge. There are no words like family pledge in history. The family pledge is a vow and a promise to achieve the heavenly kingdom. It's true. You read the family pledge, right, and see what it says. See what you're saying when you read it. It's your promise, actually, to God. And God also will work with you based on that promise. So, Father's idea of having, this idea of hundoke and saying the pledge and all this kind of thing, it's not a random idea. Father actually instigated it after Mother fulfilled her role on the worldwide course. Once she'd established a basic position, 1997, then Father started to instigate all these things, actually. And he had this day of cosmic Sabbath, a holy day, and he talked about we can take responsibility to bless our families, but we need to do hundoke, and he started to explain what hundoke was. We started all those things at that time. And the family pledge changed from my pledge to family pledge, became different. Yeah. So this is our promise, and we're people of the promise. Just the same in a sense that sincere Christians who take Holy Communion are just as the Hebrews and Jews also were or are still. So, having made our covenant with God, having made our promise with God, so what should we do? Okay, I promise this, read this every morning, blah, 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 da, 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 true love, number 4, number 5. Have you ever said the family pledge without even thinking about it? I've said it thinking about other things, actually, even. I didn't know I could do that, it's quite amazing. But it's, anyway, it's really serious that we try and think about what we're actually doing. Yeah? Obviously, it's not a good idea. So, what do we do then, if we actually haven't done very much? Or what do we do if we've messed up, in our life of faith, circumstances aren't good, did the mistake, this mistake, that mistake. Things have worked out in a way that we never imagined they would work out, and here we are, now what? Foundation Day coming up, supposed to be all these things, and, God making us a new start, coming to before the fall. What does that all mean, actually, really? What do we do? Well, if we look at the essence of indemnity, as William said, it's reversal, right? It's not just sort of suffering. And it's to do with conditions that Adam and Eve should have made themselves. Right? They needed to have faith in God's word. That's very important. God was giving them some direction. They needed to have faith in that. So, the vertical foundation of faith, fundamentally, is having faith in God's words to us, in this time. And, also they needed to have proper dominion over the archangel and the creation, creating proper harmony between heaven and earth and all things and us and God, proper connection to these things, yeah? But they didn't. The archangel took dominion and controlled things, and now, everyone has to work like a slave for their salary, and they get given a portion of creation every Friday afternoon or at the end of the month in their bank account, according to how much they've slaved away in Satan's world, basically. Yeah, shouldn't be like that at all. So, what do? Actually, we need to gain proper dominion over ourselves first, and also the spirit world. And also, we need to have faith in God's words and in this time that we're in. It's so easy, I know, to throw away a lot of things at the moment. If you just go on any, negative blog site or get, whatever it is, mailing list down Google of people complaining about everything that's going on at the moment in our movement, it's so easy to lose track of what on earth's really going on, So we have to be very careful, actually, because it's, this is just temporary time, things will change. If you look back at the time of Jesus and the disciples, anyway, it's a long time ago, things have moved on, things have changed, things, developed from those times. And it's the same with us, in 1 million years' time, 1 million years will happen, right? There will be a time, on, New Year's Eve, 1,000,000 AD, right? It will happen. And people, I don't know if they'll even know about this time, right? But the world would be very different, depending on the kind of things that we do, actually, and the values we put into practice, and the standards. And we know very well what is true, We understand. We've been living the principle a long time, at least all our lives, some young people. And, we understand what's right and wrong, and we can see the value that Father has. Actually, I would say that if there's one book that you should read, if you don't read anything else for Hunloke, that is World Scripture, 2nd edition. It's an amazing, amazing book, I tell you. Incredible book, actually. Not the least because Andrew Wilson has compacted everything in a certain way and explained it, but actually every chapter brings out very deep points that Father said about everything, actually. And it's so great, It's less boring than Chansangang, actually. But because it's very well organized, actually, and I do recommend it. You can even leave out the other religious people's bits if you need to, because it's difficult to read them and know what they're referring to. But if you just read Father's words, they're really, really amazing. So I do recommend that. So, we need to have this faith in God's word and in what's going on at the moment. There are basically it's not very complicated, actually. Father explained in June 2006, when Father established the Heavenly Palace, he kind of set out some ethics. He said there are 3 rules, Basically, we need to keep family ethics, educate young people in a moral vision that includes purity and preparation for marriage. That's not complicated, but the world just can't do that at the moment. But we can do it, we can do it, and we can help people to understand. And also commit to fidelity between husband and wife, And secondly, human rights. Establish social traditions of respect of others' rights. It's also not complicated, but society doesn't seem to be able to manage it. And stewardship. Exercise moral stewardship of the natural world and public resources. Really take care of things around you. Take care of yourself, Make yourself look good, Make your surroundings feel good. Create a beautiful area around you. And that's a reflection of your spirit, basically, And we can do that, then actually the natural world starts to get drawn into us if we carry out these 3 points. But of course, within ourselves, there's a tremendous struggle going on, isn't there? Such a struggle sometimes, so much, And I wish I could tell you some things I go through, but it's like super embarrassing, so I better not, But we all go through really private, difficult things, don't we? Yeah? I'm sure you do. You'll be so embarrassed if someone found out about how you really are, or what you're really going through, or what you did last week, Yeah? You'd be embarrassed, wouldn't you? Yeah? I think a lot of us would be, because we're struggling with things inside us. But, fundamentally, Satan is trying to use us, and especially at this time, he's trying to pull us away, distract us with this and that and the other, and, all our feelings, what's it all about anyway, and why should I, and I'm fed up with all this, whatever it is you're going through, yeah. So we're like this kind of struggle, and I won't go through details, but I'm sure you've seen this diagram in one way or another somewhere in your workshop life, we're torn between 2 ways of life, right? And the thing we have to do is we have to control ourselves. You know what's right. You know, if you're in a very nice atmosphere, you're in a Sunday service, you know, you've been praying, you're good, you know what's right, you know what's right and wrong, but sometimes you just don't do what's right. You do the wrong thing. And you get pulled away because of your ancestry, because of your circumstances, or whatever it is. But you have to make a very big effort, actually, to overcome those things. And it really is like life and death kind of effort. Sometimes I felt, you know, God, I can't overcome this, you know. I feel like that sometimes. I want to overcome it, I can't, you know. I just give in, or I do the wrong thing or something, you know. So we have to really make a big effort. It's such an effort to do it, actually, but we have to do it. And the more you can control yourself, the better, right? So Father explains very simply, you know, fasting, right? Don't get caught up with food. Some people love food. Recently, I tried to lose weight. I should be 69 kilos, and I became 76 kilos. And it was a certain point where I thought, you know, I can't bend over without feeling uncomfortable. My stomach went over my belt, you know. I thought, I don't like that. I've got to lose weight. So I started to try and lose weight. And it's really difficult, actually. So difficult. I feel so spaced out and hungry half the time. And, you know, and when everyone else was piling potatoes on their plate, I was thinking, I want these potatoes. You know, so difficult to overcome that, you know. But anyway, I got down to 69 kilos. Great. Yeah? Put it on again after Christmas, though. But anyway, yeah, just a little bit, yeah. I'm 72 now. Anyway, fasting, right? So fasting, for some people, is a big thing, right? We all laugh and everything, but it's actually not easy to do, right? It's not easy. You know, you feel really miserable when you're fasting. So we need to deny our physical body that way. Also, sexual abstinence, you know. You know, maybe some of you are older blessed couples, you know, maybe you can't have relationships so well, or one of your other spouse doesn't want to, or something, and you have to struggle with that so much, you know. How to overcome that, how to deal with that, you know. Or maybe even when you're young, you need to think about how to control yourself, you know, so that you can, you know, have a right attitude and so on, right? So anyway, I won't go into too much detail there. But anyway, also sacrificing for others.
Absolute sex.
Yes, absolute sex. Watch Xiangjinim and Yonanim's sermon. It's so cute because Yonanim is so innocent about the whole thing. You know, it's really great, actually. She's not embarrassed at all. It's amazing. I'll be red as a beetroot, I think, when I was her. And also, we need to sacrifice for others. We need to make offerings, right? So what's the Sunday service for? It's for offering. It's for offering. We offer ourselves, our time, our tithe to our community. We come and meet our brothers and sisters, take care of our elders, look after the older ones who are a bit doddery, you know, keep them happy, and, you know, help our younger ones, stop them rushing around and try and make friends with them, yeah? And also, of course, we need to love our enemy, yeah? The opposite of that is all the other things. We get self-indulgent, self-centered, we're greedy, we're lustful, slothful, lie around all over the place, sacrifice others for myself, yeah? So it's our responsibility. It's our responsibility to overcome this. It's our battle. Nobody's going to do it for us. No one. They'll just see the result. Oh, you know, they just criticize you. Oh, he's this and he's that, or she's that, you know. And, you know, but it's our battle. No one's going to do it for you, right? Our responsibility. And we need to strengthen the mind, our heart and conscience, to separate from Satan's influence and regain control over our body. Because that's what the problem was of the fall. Satan could control everything, basically, the physical world. Yeah? So we need to overcome that. And, you know, that brings us to the point, you know, if we really work on that very hard for, you know, Father says 3 months, you know, and 30 years, actually, for me, to be honest. Anyway, you know, it depends where your ancestors come from, I guess. So it brings us to the point at which we can cross the line to the status of Adam and Eve before the fall. If you can purify yourselves enough, if you can be in control of yourselves enough, right, you don't undo what you keep doing. I know some people, they try and they do this and that, you know, service and offering, blah, blah, and then they go off and go to the pub and get blind drunk, and, you know, what's the point of that? You know, you're just undoing everything, actually, basically, you know. And I don't know if you know yourselves, but if you do something that's really unprincipled, you don't do the right thing, you lose control. Actually, for about 3 days, you feel terrible. Have you experienced that? I've experienced it, definitely, you know. I feel absolutely terrible. I can't pray, I can't think, I can't even work, I can't concentrate. I feel really guilty, I feel bad, and it takes 3 days to sort of climb up and feel a bit better about it, and they think, I don't want ever to do that again, and then later on you do it again. It's like that. And then but bit by bit, over 30 years, you get there, right? So it brings us to the point which we can get to the status of Adam and Eve before the fall, which is the whole point of Foundation Day, right? Father restored this. He restored, first of all, Jesus got married. Father could get married with mother. Then they spent this 40-year course, 43 years, to restore the foundation of Christianity, raise up mother as a bride, inherit the foundation of the movement as a bride. Then she could stand as true parent, true mother with father, right? Then another blessing, right? Which was actually, Adam and Eve, their relationship, actually establishing that. And now again, father with mother from the spirit world. It's like even the archangel, if you like, somehow, to restore that. Really restore the fall. Try and get back to before the fall. Also, it's no coincidence that since 2000, we've all been going on loads of workshops in Champyong, right? All kinds of Champyong workshops and numerous blessings, right? Because, we can't cross the line by ourselves. We need God's grace given by, the Messiah, given through the Messiah. We need to have someone to pay the price for us and to guide us and teach us. And if we can connect in heart with them, right, like I did with my dad, or later I could connect with Father because I could catch something of Father as an old man trying his uttermost best, If we can catch that about Father, we can actually gain the grace of being with Father, in a newer realm, a higher realm. Because the spirit world is all to do with your spiritual state, isn't it? We know that. We grew up to this point when we're on earth, that's where we're going to be in the spirit world, right? We're not going to be up there or down there. We're going to be there, right? So if we can connect to Father, Father said, just hold on to me. And it's like holding on to rope and I'll pull you up. Yeah, it said that in this speech we just read. It's just a bit like that, actually. Connect to Father in some way in heart. And then actually we can gain so much benefit from Father and true parents. So through this blessing, and here are all the blessings we had. I kind of carefully researched it, actually. And we've gone through 7 different things. Yeah? First of all, there was my own blessing, for example. When I got blessed, or when you got blessed, if you got blessed. Then there was a registration into the new nation of Cheonlguk in July 2000. Some of you went to Korea for that. And everyone had to confess, repent, and make renewal, right? National level blessing, it was called. We took holy wine at that time. Again, 2002, January, we were all asked to take holy wine for the 3rd time, yeah? Because blessing, and then 2000 and this time. And then actually February the 6th, 2003, when Father and Mother had their 2nd blessing, then also that was the world blessing. Father made a blessing prayer. I don't know if you remember that. I remember it very clearly because I was there. And then he kind of went like this, something at the end of the prayer. That was his, okay, you're part of this blessing kind of thing. Then August 20th, 2004, we drank holy wine. And then again, June 13th, 2006, we drank holy wine again and had a renewal of candles and salt. October the 14th, you probably remember that one when Daimonim, I think she came here, or Hunmanim came here. And we needed to make extra conditions, and it was like a real renewal, chance for people to repent and start again. And we attended a 2-day workshop on original divine principle, and there was a special donation. That was a cosmic level blessing. And then once again, there's another blessing. And, I've heard it's like God's blessing or God's level blessing or something, high level or broader. In a sense, we can say that this is, we're talking about God coming into humankind. Of course, we're not at that level. I'm not at that level yet. I'm trying to work towards that level, right? But we know, at least we can say maybe true parents are. And that's the first point that God can really start to come into humankind. So we've had a lot of chances to start again, right? To go to Champyong. You can't say that we never had a chance, right? And Father gave us that chance lots of times to repent and start again. And he paid a price each time for us. He didn't just hand out holy wine and holy salt and, okay, off you go. He had to pay a price for those things and give us another chance to really think about who we're doing. So this is our, last chance, right? So Adam and Eve were God's children. Adam and Eve's marriage would have been God's marriage and the appearance of the substantial God. We can understand that, right? If they're really pure and everything and God was in them, anyway, God's somehow there, yeah? And Adam and Eve's first love would have been God's first love. Until now, God couldn't love substantially in a body. Human history has been a long journey of God's seed and lineage, literally. God trying to put this kind of point into humankind, into the universe, where he could be, where he could love, where he could grow and have his children and experience everything like we experience. Yeah. And with the appearance of true parents, God is finally liberated to love, basically through that. So, Foundation Day then is like the foundation of 3 liberations. Satan's blood lineage is eradicated through the blood lineage, through the blessing. We can make a new start, right? And Satan's dominion over this world and through our fallen nature is overcome by us living a principled life. Right? We have to live a principled life. And Satan's lifestyle, the environment that we're sort of subjected to, will be changed into the environment of Chunalguk, heavenly kingdom. Of course, those things don't happen straight away. So don't think, oh my God, I'm not blessed yet, or I don't live a principled life yet, and what's going to happen? I'm going to go to hell. No, don't think like that, because how many members are there in the world? I've no idea, but it's not very many compared to the whole population, right? It's a process, and in the Bible it talks about a 1,000-year period, until the millennium afterwards, when Satan will be unleashed on this world again, and he'll find no place to rest, kind of idea. Yeah. So it's a process. But God needs to start somewhere, and he's starting with true parents. Father gave everything to get to this point, everything he had to get to this point, and he's hoping that his children, us, that we can follow in the same footsteps as much as we can possibly do, right? So that in our own families we can create a really great culture, right? So we can educate our children and culture of heart, yeah. How to take care of each other, how to respect parents, how to respect elders and youngers, how to look after the environment, right? How to pass on that tradition to their children, how to do that. So, we need to create this environment, and then gradually, bit by bit, it'll expand. Just like, the Hebrews, they expanded and expanded, and even the Christian culture expanded and expanded. So we'll be the same. Just takes time. But you need to start at the right point. If we don't start right, it'll be a mess. Okay? And the less people that start right, the more of a mess it'll be. So we better, start right and do our very best to live the right way. And through our own children's children, we'll see something really fantastic, in the end. So the Foundation Day is then like the 3rd holy wedding of true parents. It's like God's own wedding to true mother. If you think about God as like father, you can think like, that's God's wedding to mother. The completion of true parents, heaven, earth, and humankind. Like the God of day and God of night, if you've been studying that. The completion of the heavenly family, really establishing some point, Doesn't mean everyone's perfect and everything's fine. It doesn't mean that, no. It means just the seed is there, ready to really sprout very well, like it would have done if Adam and Eve had done the right thing. Completion of the heavenly nation, right? Doesn't mean a nation instantly pops up. I wouldn't be surprised that actually if North Korea collapsed in a heap, it's pretty ripe to do that. Honestly, and it'll be a real disaster if it does, because it'll be so difficult to sort out. I can imagine thinking about what East and West Germany was like. Anyway, completion of the heavenly nation, at least some basis. Father started with holy salt, holy salt, and then holy grounds, and then finally like Chompiong, and then a few Chompiongs around. There's one in Commando now, isn't there? And he wanted actually 12 around the world, and spreading and developing this kind of heavenly nation. Completion of coronation of God's kingship, where God has absolute authority over heaven, earth, and humankind. Right? So this is the point actually where that starts to happen. So that's like kind of Judgment Day. Then God starts to really work quite strongly, and it'll be the unification of the spiritual and physical worlds as well. I mean, I don't know. Have you felt recently? It's kind of yeah, I feel it actually. Something's more and more close, and something's more going on actually, and Spirit was kind of peering over my shoulder all the time, saying, what did you say? What did you do? Why did you do that? And it's like the beginning, really, of the substantial Chunalguk. It's the time when we can really establish some basis, yeah? So, if we say completion of heavenly family, it means we become the direct children of God, because true mothers become one with God as God's wife, and because God himself has been completed. It's a bit like that, finally, in some point, yeah? You can sort of look at this. I'm just taking a couple of points here. And as blessed couples, we be registered as the citizens of the substantial Chonmulguk, like some real beginning point, I think. We'll receive the heavenly seal, it says in one of these lectures that we got over the last few years. So if you check that out in the Bible, right, it's got about heavenly, I typed in seal, and here we go, Revelation 7 talks about it. Okay, I don't know who these 4 angels are, Joanna, no idea, but anyway, I saw 4 angels standing at the 4 corners of the earth, holding back the 4 winds of the earth to prevent any wind from blowing on the land or on the sea or any tree. Then I saw another angel coming up from the east, having the seal of the living God. He called out in a loud voice to the 4 angels who had been given power to harm the land and the sea. Do not harm the land or the sea or the tree or the trees until we put a seal on the foreheads of the servants of our God. Then I heard the number of those who were sealed, 144,000 from all the tribes of Israel. So who's that? Yeah, it's us. Right? It's us, isn't it? Yeah? We're the kind of 144,000. Yeah. So, please take this time seriously. I think it's a great chance just to kind of review our life of faith, really. And really try and... It's not just about making a new start, but it's about determining to really put a principle into practice in our lives so that we can gain some incredible merit and just kind of grace from God. If I act principally and really try and control myself strongly and do the right things, then I feel God's grace, quite deeply, actually. And it should be like that all the time. Unfortunately, I can't do it all the time. It kind of flows backwards and forwards and struggle with it. But let's make an effort. And I think this Foundation Day can be really real, an incredible foundation for us all. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you very much. And so we have actually another 10-15 minutes just to finish off. We said we'd finish at 5:30. So got any more questions or reflections you'd like to share? Is this working? Oh, are you on this?
Is there anyone? Yeah, thank you very much for the lecture. I just wondered, this point has been mentioned by Hyunjin recently quite often, but, when we say that we have to live in the principle way, then how do we actually do that in practical way? Like, Hyunjin suggested maybe meditation, I think, in his sermon, but I think for many people, it's quite difficult to do the meditation in the daily basis or like constantly. So I was just curious, like what kind of thing do you do when you are facing these difficulties, like overcoming your enemies, loving your enemies, also overcoming your evil desires like envy and anger and things like that. How are you dealing with it? I was just curious.
Okay, I can only tell you personally because I only know what I go through. I don't know what you go through, right? So I think everyone needs to find their own method to deal with these things. But, for example, I've been doing a cold shower for the last 15 years, every day. And it's jolly cold at the moment. For example, that's just one part of it, really. But also, when I'm faced with very difficult people or circumstances, mentioning no names, then, sometimes you just have to bite your tongue, And I find that if a feeling comes up inside me, and I really want to say, this stupid person, actually, I don't, right? And then after a while, the feeling goes away, yeah? And I learned that from a while ago when someone was talking about addiction. And they said, sometimes you have an incredible desire to do something. But if you just wait 15 minutes, it'll gradually go away. But you have to control yourself for that 15 minutes. Quite strongly, yeah. More than 10. Yeah, it's 900, isn't it? Or whatever. So, but there are certain, maybe methods you can use, But I know a very good method to stop you doing the wrong things is if you do them so many times and you go so low, you feel so bad about yourself that you really don't want to do it again, I've experienced that also. You end up in a black corner, and you think, I don't want ever to be here again, And you try and remember that time. Later you think, oh, yeah, I don't want to do that. Yeah. And then you can change. So I don't know, you all have different methods. But personally, I do recommend positive things like hundoke. I'm serious to do hundoke and to stay awake in it. I don't do it at 5 o'clock, you know, and I can't manage at 5 o'clock. But I do it at 6:30 with my family. And, you know, I always learn something, actually. It's very interesting. I learn something, you know, probably because of reading the right books. I don't know. Some things go over and over again, and I get a bit bored with them. But, yeah, and hundoke and prayer and some kind of physical conditions I do regularly. And I think that builds up. And then try and, you know, I always attend church. I don't think I've ever not attended church apart from being very ill for some reason. Maybe 4 or 5 times in 20 years I haven't gone to church or something. I always go to church, try and make an offering, because it's my offering to God, you know, to give something back to God. You know? Yeah.
Thank you.
As a partial answer to this young lady there, anger is an emotional reaction. Yes, through the divine principle words, you can change the way you think about a situation or about a person. It's true. But anger is like an emotional reaction to something inside yourself which this person is stimulating. So it's not the other person is the problem. It took me about 20 years to learn this. Yeah? It's not the other person who's causing you the problem. He's not upsetting me, her, is not upsetting me. No, it's me, I am reacting. I'm upsetting myself. So that's the first point. Second point is, on a practical level, is exercise and deep breathing, and sometimes spending quiet time listening to music. So relaxation, exercise, running, yoga. You say you can't make time to do meditation? You can't make it. You don't have time, or you can't make time. If you can make time, it's a different matter. But if you have no time, that's another matter again. But can you make time? It's up to you. It depends on how important is your relationship. Depends. Yeah. So it's up to you. What is important for you? To keep calm mind, keep peaceful heart. Exercise help it. Deep breathing from the diaphragm. Deep breathing. Are you Japanese or Korean? Japanese. Do you know Zazen? Wakata? Okay. Zazen, yeah. Zazen. Your tradition, Dento? Yeah, long time. Okay.
David should make a video, I think. Self-help videos.
Hands at the back.
Yeah, you mentioned the 7 levels of blessings given thus far, or 6 plus the one that we're waiting for. So my question is, I wanted to find out about the people who will join the church after this forthcoming blessing. What will happen to them in terms of these levels of blessings?
Oh, that's okay. They'll just also receive the blessing. There's like the merit of the age, isn't there? That's my understanding of it. The foundation builds, the heart builds. Our church builds in heart more and more. Will do more and more and more and more. And people will be able to step into a deeper level and receive greater grace for less price. Basically, it'll be like that. And I don't think it's a problem at all. They would just receive more simple level blessing. And maybe they'll be married already and they can just renew their determination and, really work to keep themselves pure, and things will work more easily for them. It's more difficult for the earlier ones, actually. Yeah.
Just want to reinforce what David said about when you feel anger, and that it's not connected really with the other person, but more yourself. I had a discussion in the break with Monica, who's sitting next to me. We decided that when we joined or I decided that when I joined anyway, it was very easy to come to conclusions that were totally erroneous about the people around you, either in the church or outside of it. And looking back, historically over the years, I could see that my own attitude towards other people has changed, developed, or become different anyway. And I'd just like to thank David for those words, because it actually hit the nail right on the head completely. It's our reaction to other people which is the problem, not the other people. Yeah. So I think the more aware that we become of that, it just is a significant factor in our level of spiritual growth, how we deal with that. Thank you.
Yeah. I always see it as like we have to try and be a parent to everyone. Because imagine if you have your own children. My children used to, I'd stop them doing something and they'd call me, you stinky dad, and they'd stomp their feet and get upset or whatever. What do? You don't shout at them and you blah, blah. You don't do that, do you? You just take it. It's just their little tantrum, Let them get on with it, basically, and they'll be all right in the end, yeah? So if you feel like that towards other people also, we try and be parental to people, then that's how we can solve it. Because actually they know they're doing the wrong thing. They know their attitude's not right. Particularly if you don't respond to it and create a base where it all multiplies and becomes very confusing emotionally, they can see clearly, And that's the best way to deal with it, actually.
There's two basic points of view. It's either the others or it's myself. I used to think it was the others that needed to change, to my point of view. But now, unfortunately, at a very late stage, I think now it's myself that needs to change. So, since I decided it's me that needs to change, then I've been starting doing different kinds of things. I went counseling, 3 years for a counseling course. I did 7 years, I've done 7 years of yoga. I've become vegetarian. I'm doing meditation. I'm doing Tai Chi and I'm doing yoga. So I need to change.
Yeah, I can see the halo.
Not the other people. Not the other people. Not the other people. It's me who needs to change. If I concentrate on that, then I don't have so much problem with the other people, because it's not them. No matter what they say to me or do to me, if I get upset in reaction to them, it's not those people who are doing it to me. It's my reaction to those people that's doing me the problem. It's causing me ill health, mental health. And lower down your sugar, your fat, and your salt, because that makes you hyperactive. It disturbs your nervous system. If you want to be a peaceful spirit, cut out the sugar, cut out the salt, and cut out the fat.
Yeah, you're right.
Hi, Wakata.
Maybe Shasil? Just Shasil wanted to ask something.
Who? So,
on just the previous comments, they said the merit of the age when they receive something. So how do you introduce the tradition of the pledge and the Buddhism?
How? Well, just say it's a tradition. How do you mean? To somebody who's new, you mean? Yeah. Oh, you can just say it's your promise to God. This is what we want to accomplish, one day. And this is it's like our Lord's Prayer, in a way. You can say it depends on their background, I guess.
So you don't visit people when
Oh.
well,
No.
yeah.
People can understand bit by bit, bit by bit they can understand more deep. The more mature they get and the more they understand the principle, they'll start to put things in the right way. Yeah.
So, just John, and then I think we'll finish. Actually, one thing we started doing is giving, when people join our community, even if they're kind of members from our movement, we give them a family pledge when they join the community. So that's one.
Thank you for very deep lectures, Tim. Very inspiring. Father said it's 7 times more easy to do evil than to do good, and that's why I think we're asked to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Personally, I do that. Sometimes you struggle, but I do it. And also, if I'm travelling, I'll take stuff on the tube or listen to tapes in the car. I feel I gain a lot from that. And I think also, Father said, we have to do more than any of the other religions. And I think we're missing a trick by that. I think, honestly, we should be doing night prayers. Some of the churches I go to, they do 7-hour night prayers, So he said that very clearly. We should do more than any of them, because otherwise how can we impress them or win them, you know? So I think this is an area that we need to look at and, you know, to make more effort in, quite honestly.
I agree. I'm not saying compromise. I'm saying do your very best, you know? Even sometimes I thought maybe I should get up earlier now and start doing my own prayers at 5, you know? Instead of doing it because I was a national leader and I had to. You know? Do you know what I mean? No, I know. Yeah, I understand.
For me personally, I just gain so much from that. Even if I say can't, I'll make it up somewhere else. But each person to their own. But I think if you try and make it up, I think it's very beneficial if we can do that.
Yeah, I think so. I agree. The more you can do, the better, isn't it? Actually, that way, control yourself. That's what I was saying. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Let's give Tim one more round of applause. And if I don't speak too long, we are all going to finish on time, so you give yourself a round of applause as well. So my German ancestors are really happy about that. Just a couple of things I wanted to share at the end was that one is, again, tomorrow after church, if people have got questions, if you come